right. Thanks, Charlie. Good morning, everyone. I'm not seeing faces, though. I'm not sure if it's just on my side.
No faces yet. But yeah, maybe we could ask the provinces to please put their cameras on so we can see the learners in their whole beings.
Yes, it would be good to see some faces.
Our host on the video.
There we go. I'm seeing Free State. I'm seeing Northwest. Limpopo coming online. Still missing Gauteng. I see Eastern Cape is. Oh, there's Gauteng. Oh, there's Claudette. How are you, Claudette?
Very well. And how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Let's see. Who are we missing? KZN is on. Right, we're missing. Alright, no, I think I see we have most provinces on, so that's good enough. Hello, everyone. This also goes to our learners. Hi all, this is me waving, Rapala over here from TTF, and I'm looking forward to interacting with everyone once again, and our coordinators as well. I haven't spoken to you in over a year, so very excited that we're picking this up again. But mine, as Shali said, Rapala Sima, the third leg of the training firm. You'll get to meet Mahadi as well in subsequent sessions, and someone who's very passionate about youth development and public speaking. So us being here, it's not just about something that we do on a Saturday for fun, but we do this because we really are firm believers in paying it forward and empowering all of you with tools that are going to serve you very well as you're progressing through school, through university, as well as the rest of your lives, really. So we're looking forward to interacting with you, looking forward to having many, many impactful conversations and to watch the transformation from each of you. Charlene, back to you.
Thank you very much, Rapana. So as I said briefly in the beginning, I am Charlie Ruthman. And I will introduce myself by way of a quick story, just to give you some background. So I went to high school in the Eastern Cape. It was a government school. And there was this thing of debate or public speaking on offer in terms of the school curriculum, which I thought nothing of at that point. In fact, I couldn't have been fazed whether I was a good speaker or whether I could hold a debate or even communicate well, until I decided when I was heading off to university, I had to have a long, hard think about what did I want to study? What profession did I want to be in? And I somehow landed on the profession of being a marketing person or somebody in marketing. And so I applied only to one institution, although I was eligible to apply to different institutions, but I specifically chose the Tshwane University of Technology because it was a technikon, and I really wanted to have a practical education qualification. I didn't want to sit with all the theory and not be able to do. And so I applied to one institution, and thankfully I was accepted at Tshwane University of Technology. So off I went from the Eastern Cape, and I found myself in Tshwane. And throughout my educational program or my degree, we had an opportunity to practically develop our skills around marketing. What I didn't think much of is how much public speaking my profession would require or entail me to do, until I found myself in my third year of varsity trying to muster up the courage to complete one of the modules, which was called personal selling. And as part of this personal selling curriculum and exams, we actually had to sell products. We had to knock on a door. We had to present our products and our value to our clients. And we were assessed and marked on how well we were able to communicate, how well we were able to frame the value that our products or services were offering our potential clients. And whether or not we were compelling enough, whether or not we instilled enough credibility around our offerings, whether or not we were able to just verbally express what value we have to offer the client, determined whether we passed or failed our semester, essentially. And I recall standing at the lecturer's door because he was the client, he was playing the role of the client, and being extremely nervous, kitted up in my suit. As you know, in varsity, you generally go to varsity in very informal clothes. But for this occasion, we had to dress up, we had to suit up, because part of your communication is not just what comes out of your mouth. It's about your posture, it's about your appearance, it's about everything. It's the whole package, your nonverbal communication. So you have to be the whole package. And so suited up, we went to present to the potential client. And I recall being extremely nervous. It was the most nerve-wracking thing because firstly, I had to speak. Secondly, I had to convince and influence and sell. And most of all, I had to show up and basically sell myself. Sell who I am, sell my products, sell my credentials, etc. And so the reason I'm telling you the story is because we all have to start somewhere. And I strongly believe that the best decision I made in life was studying a qualification that required me to learn how to sell. And I'm not using the word public speaking. I'm using the word selling because in every way, shape, or form, each individual that traverses the ends of this world has to sell. Every single day of your life, you are going to be in sales. You are going to sell. You're going to sell your ideas. You're going to sell your credentials. You're going to sell products, services. You're going to lead a team. And when you lead a team, you have to make sure that your team buy in to you as the leader. You have to make sure that your team is happy that you have that capability to lead them. If you think of the elections that we just went through, each political party had to sell their manifestos. Their leaders had to sell what they would do in the country and for the country if they were elected as president of the of South Africa, the Republic of South Africa. And so, whether you are in government, whether you are a politician, whether you own an NGO or an MPO, such as Safer South Africa, or whether you are the CEO of a multinational corporation, whether you are a pastor or a preacher, wherever you are going to have to sell. You're going to have to really be able to communicate to others so that you can influence them in a specific direction. And so whenever we talk about public speaking, I want you to liken it to the ability to communicate. Because that's what it is. It's about communicating. It's about selling your ideas. It's about framing them and putting them forward in a way that excites and enthuses your audience. They say that there's no such thing as a bad audience. There's only ever such a thing as a bad speaker. You are responsible for the audience's experience of you and of the delivery. And so if your audience are standing or sitting there wondering what they're going to eat for breakfast or lunch, or maybe where you got your shoes from, then you likely have lost them. You've lost their attention and you've lost your impact over them, essentially. And so I also wanted to tell you that story twofold, so that I could build credibility amongst you. So this is an important part of public speaking, building credibility so your audience knows that you have the right to be in front of them. So I cover that aspect of asking why you should listen to me. And secondly, a very important and powerful tool of public speaking is storytelling. And it's something that throughout this program, you are going to learn how to do. And so I hope by that way of introduction, I have given you a bit of a view of who I am, and more specifically, of why you need to listen to the training from, right? But you won't forget my story. Maybe in a year's time, in 2 years' time, you'll remember my story. And don't underestimate the power of telling your story, because it resonates with people. It makes your presentation more memorable, and it really keeps your audience engaged in what you're trying to tell them. So, by that way, I just would like to welcome you formally to the program, and congratulations on taking the first step in your career. And I love that you're starting in high schools, not as late as I did. You have an opportunity to learn the skill of communication earlier on and be able to hone it and dedicate your development to becoming a more proficient communicator and therefore more impactful influencer. And when I say influence, I'm not referring to the social media influencers that we see on TikToks and Facebooks these days. Okay. This is more than just a public speaking course or a course in communication. It really is a leadership course, because as I mentioned to you, irrespective of your role, you are going to have to influence and lead other people. And so along the way, I want you to broaden your perspective around how you can use the ability to communicate effectively to audiences of one person, 2 people, or even 10,000 or even 1 million people to lead better. To be a leader who is transformational, who takes people on a journey. And so your first step, your first commitment is really a commitment to developing yourself. I want you to be selfish over the coming few weeks with your time, because this is about you. It's about you investing in your capabilities and you investing in your future. And I just want to read a quick quote, which I love so much, around our deepest fears. And it goes as follows. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and our ability to shine, and not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking yourself so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are all meant to make manifest because we are born in the glory of God, and that is within us. It is not just some of us or certain few of us, but every single one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we liberate ourselves from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. And so, future leaders, invest and be deeply committed to transforming yourself through this life-changing program that you are going to experience over the coming days. I'd like to just double check if General is in the room. And then what we'll do is we'll kick off the formal part of the program. General,
Yes, she is. She has arrived. I will ask for her to then start. She is here.
Thank you.
Shani. Thank you so much.
Good morning to all the special attendants of today's session. Good morning to all the special attendants of this year's edition of the Youth for Safer South Africa Debate and Leadership Development Program. I am most humbled by the opportunity to kickstart this edition of our Youth Development and Empowerment Program. Let me start off by acknowledging you, the participants of 2024 Youth for Safer South Africa Leadership and Development Edition. I'm starting with you because making time in of itself means you are investing in your own life, as Shali has indicated. You didn't arrive here by accident. You arrived here because you took your time, firstly, to be part of the Communities and Justice program that took place in your school. You took time to ensure that you complete the program, the 12-session program. You went on to write an essay, to start saying, I am a thought leader, and I shall pen my thoughts on a paper and submit it as my essay to say this is what I learned from the CJP program. And it is through penning those thoughts that you created a passage to be part of the team that forms the cohort of the 2024 debating team participants. For that, I want to say to you, well done. You are on a good journey of becoming. Before I continue, let me also take this opportunity to thank those who made it possible for you to participate in this program. As it is often said, that it takes a village to bring up a child. The village is here. The village is around you. I want to take this opportunity to thank your schools, the teachers, the coordinators from the schools that joined hands with our other very special stakeholders, the provincial coordinators, who work with many other stakeholders in the province to make sure that the CJP program realizes, to make sure that today you are sitting in this room. I also want to take this opportunity to thank your parents, because without their permission and their support of this program, it would not be possible for you to be here. So I extend our sincere appreciation to your parents, to your guardians, who are also a very big part of this program. I take this opportunity also to thank those who make it possible for us to run programs such as this. We are an NGO that has no business that brings money. We survive because there are well-wishers in the community who donate some resources to us to be able to run programs such as this. Lastly but not least, I want to thank the training firm who will be sitting throughout this program to empower you, to educate you, to make you the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you, TTF, for designing this program. Thank you, TTF. We know that ordinarily we can not even afford what you're worth. Your investment in this program in terms of knowledge, experience, and skill, and also in terms of just being philanthropic in assisting us to run this program, we're truly grateful for those contributions. Let me lastly, as I round off, come to you, my dear children. We are excited. We are looking forward. But as I sign off, I want to remind you of a very important matter. Shirley spoke about being selfish. I want to talk about the same thing, but say to you, embrace the gift of life that you have been gifted. Life is a gift. And I am imploring you to cherish the gift that you've been given, which is life. I've been to many of your award ceremonies, and I keep on repeating what I'm going to say. In your life sciences, you know what it takes to have a human being alive. There's a seed that comes from a male person, and it goes to an egg of a woman. It is not one seed. It is millions of those seeds that competes and rush to the egg of a woman. And let me tell you what the miracle is. Only one seed is going to succeed in penetrating the egg of a woman. Only one seed out of those 15 million plus seeds succeeds to penetrate the egg of a woman. I am that seed, and you are that seed. And if that doesn't mean you have won in life, I don't know. I have won because I have been privileged. I've been gifted. I've been given a precious thing, which is called life. And if you have been selected amongst those millions, it then behoves us to cherish the gift that we've been given, that is life. And I will go further to tell you that it is not just life that is like your friend's life or your sister's life or your mother's life. No, it is a unique life. Unique in a sense that in this whole world of plus 8 billion people, there is nobody who is like you. You are uniquely you. You are specially made. You're preciously made. That is why even your biometric cannot be repeated anywhere. It is the finger mark that you have that tells you that you have been selected. You are unique. You have a purpose to be in this life. So never allow any person to take away that special moment that you've been given. So go on, my children. Live your precious life. Go on, my children. Appreciate the life that you've been given. Go on, my children. Do not listen to anyone who wants to run you down, telling you that you're ugly, you're fat, you're not beautiful, you're stupid. No. You have a special purpose in life. You were specially and preciously made to be on this earth. Love your life. Cherish it. Find your purpose. Make a contribution in this life. I wish you all the best as you try and build around the precious life that you've been given, as you acquire more skills to share with us. Lastly, what we are doing here, we will be teaching you to be that human being that has an opinion in life. And as it is always said, it is not enough to have an opinion. It is important for you to be able to articulate that opinion, that others hear it, that others understand it, that others know it. So in these sessions that we'll be running, we are going to make sure that you are empowered to pick your opinions and be able to articulate them. And we know that you're going to be. I say so because as an old woman, I want to tell you that I had a village around me. It made it possible for me to be who I am today. And today, as an old woman, I'm paying it forward to make sure that you become. Because all of us that are around you, some other people paid it forward for us to become. So we embrace you. Embrace us. We cherish your life. You are our future, and we want you to be the future that we're dreaming of. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, General, for that moving speech around how special we are. And General, I'd just like to correct you. You are not an old woman. You are just a wiser and more experienced woman. Awesome. So let's kick off the start of the program. I just want to make sure my slides are visible by everybody and you can see them clearly. Okay, so I'm just going to give a quick introduction to the overall program. This program is called the U for Safer South Africa Debate Program. The agenda for this week is we'll do a quick overview of the program. We'll talk about the various leadership roles we will require you to play throughout the program. We'll talk about how to use the peer evaluation, and then we'll move into the meat of the discussion. The lesson for this week is really about how do you talk off the cuff and why impromptu speaking is important and how you can learn to do unprepared speeches. So the program, many of you may know, is one that has been running for quite a few years. We launched the inaugural program in 2022. And what we hope to do is impart valuable insights and skills to enable you as leaders to speak confidently in public. And this program is designed to facilitate the learning as we progress you through week one's topic, which is really about talking off the cuff. And then next week, we'll focus on how do you structure your speech and use notes. And then in the third week, we'll talk about really how do we use our voice, our vocal variety, and our body language to accentuate and to complement our delivery and the impact of what we're saying. And then the fourth session, we'll focus on how do we talk in groups? How do we present in groups? You won't always be required to be a lone ranger who's speaking. You might have to sit on a panel discussion or even do a group presentation. So we will equip you with the skill to talk in groups. So what are the objectives of this overall program? We want to educate you as our, not future leaders. You are actually our current leaders. You are leading where you are today. We want you to invest in your self-improvement. We also want to develop your ability to be thought leaders. General spoke about the opinion, having an opinion. So how do you develop an opinion? We want to equip you with the skill to be able to develop an opinion, then communicate that opinion in a compelling and influential manner. We want to equip you with the skills to communicate, but more specifically, our country needs leaders who are able to dialogue. And dialoguing purely just means that people who are truly listening to people who are truly speaking. So I just want to pause for a moment. Dialoguing is about people who are truly listening to people who are truly speaking. And so that skill of dialogue is going to be important. We also want you to learn about how do we engender interest in community safety and security. Because remember, this program is about creating a safer South Africa. We want to help you to also improve your overall oral expression and your confidence so that you believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. We want you to also consider this as a leadership intervention to help you learn how to lead better. And so, what are the different roles you will experience throughout the program? Each week, you will be allocated a role, and there are different roles that we need you to do, right? So, the first role is that of a speaker. Some weeks you might be speaking. Some weeks you might be evaluating those who are speaking. Some of you might be a timekeeper who is holding the meeting to its agenda and its time. Some of you might be the master of ceremonies, who would be required to deliver the day's proceedings and also deliver the close-off kind of speech for your team. What you would also be required to do is learn how to evaluate other people and give effective feedback. And so each week, every participant in the room will be given a paper, and when somebody is speaking, you are going to evaluate their speech. And evaluation is an important skill. It teaches you to think through things objectively and then give feedback in a way that moves both parties forward and is constructive. And so, although all of you will be evaluating every week, other speakers, as well as being evaluated, there's only a few of you that will be actually called to deliver your feedback in a speech format to the other participants. So don't forget, when you are delivering feedback, you need to deliver it as if you're still giving a speech to the person who's receiving that feedback. So I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Rapala, who's going to take us through the topic of the week, talking off the cuff. Rapala, would you like me to stop sharing on my side?
Just for a moment, I just want to share some things with our learners there, and I'll ask you to share once again. All right, so we're still morning, so good morning once again, everyone. And I want to build on to some of the comments that were shared by our colleagues, both Charlie as well as the general. Starting off with, to all of you, just appreciating that today is day one of a very powerful and transformative journey that all of you will be embarking on. And you've heard from my two colleagues as well, speaking to the fact that it takes a village to raise a child, right? And you have a village around you. Everyone here is here with the sole purpose of empowering you, of growing you, of developing you. But importantly, what I would like to share with all of you is that you also need to think of each other as part of that village. And that means that you need to hold hands. That means you need to support each other. That means you need to create safe spaces for each other. You need to celebrate one another, and you need to build one another. So which means every step of the way, whenever one of your fellow learners is speaking, you need to be celebrating them. You need to be cheering them on. You need to be encouraging them to keep going. So when you are part of an audience and someone is speaking, we expect of you to treat them the way that you would be want to be treated if you're the one speaking. So in other words, that means no frowning. That means not yawning while someone is talking. That means paying attention when someone is talking. And as we'll show you even later on, and you will feel this throughout the program, that we need you to energize one another. So when someone goes to the stage, we are looking to you as part of that village to make sure that that person walking to the stage feels very confident. And for them to feel very confident, they need to feel that their village is cheering them on. So you need to be clapping hands as powerful as you can up until that person gets to the stage. And until they're very comfortable, and when they're done speaking, we need to do the very same thing. We need to empower them, we need to cheer them on until they get back to their seats. But importantly, you are part of that village. So treat your fellow learners the very same way that you'd want to be treated. Make sure they feel appreciated, make sure they're feeling that they're not alone, they're part of a very warm village, and all around, let's do that for one another. Secondly, I also want to lean on what I said earlier about being a bit selfish, right? And it might feel a bit of a contrast, but it's not. That on the one hand, we're saying be a community, be a village, but on the other side, we're also saying be selfish with your learning, be selfish with your transformation. And by that, we mean you need to take it all in every single step of the way. Every teaching that you're going to come across, you need to be embracing it, you need to be absorbing as much as you can, and you need to be very selfish in saying you want to be a very different person at the very end of the journey compared to how you were at the beginning. And that means practice, that means absorbing, that means asking questions if you have any, that means asking for support if you have any, that means going back home and rehearsing in front of the mirror whatever you would have learned, so that you are building into your own journey and transforming yourself. Lastly, as we've been saying, that this is about empowering you to build dialogue, empowering you to ensure that you as you're progressing throughout your lives, you're becoming a better person and being a positive contributor to our society. But I want to encourage you at the same time to have fun. The intention here is not only to just it being a learning journey, it being a transformative journey, but it's also supposed to be a fun journey. And that means that we need you all to celebrate, have as much fun as you can, take pictures as you're progressing, give each other high fives, have lots and lots of fun, and make sure that there's always smiles all around. At the end of this, you need to be reflecting on it, not just about the learnings, but also to be able to say to yourselves, we've had lots and lots of fun. And for that to be the case, we need to start from the very beginning. So as we're going to break into our provinces later on, we need to be, as we're jumping through the provinces, we'd like to see very good energy. We want to see you all having fun. We know there will be some nerves, which is normal. That's part of it. But we need you all to be very intentional about having fun and enjoying the learning. All right, Charlie, on that note, yes, you can bring up the slides. And as we said, today is about a very important aspect to being able to sound, being able to speak, right? And this is about being in a position and learning the skills today that even without much preparation, you are able to articulate ideas when you're called upon to do so. And I'm sure many of you would relate to this because in class, I can imagine you have that teacher who very randomly calls you to answer a question or very randomly to come to the front and say something to your fellow learners. We call that impromptu speaking. We call that unprepared speaking. We call it talking off the cuff because you would not have had enough time to prepare what you need to say, but you still need to be able to say something. And I can assure you that is a skill that not only benefits you in class, that's a skill that's going to benefit you within your social settings, but even as you're progressing throughout varsity, throughout other endeavors that you might be part of, as well as you're progressing towards being an employee at some point or an entrepreneur, boss yourself, right? And then how you approach impromptu speaking, we're going to give you some tools that you need to embrace as you're moving along, that you know that should you be asked to do that, you have a few tools that you can pick from to say, I'm going to use A or B or C to answer the question that has been put on the table for me. And we're going to give you some of those, right? And as I've said, even in social settings, you will have that party where the person who was supposed to speak is either sick or cannot make it, and then they look into you to say, we need you to say a few words. What you're going to learn today will prepare you to be able to very confidently address those situations that arise. And how we approach these also differs. There might be some instances where you can be casual, you can joke around, especially in social settings, but there might be instances where you need to formalize your answer. And we will give you the tools to approach either scenario when it presents itself. All right? Shadi, you can move on to the next one. And this one might seem a bit funny because we're saying you need to learn how to speak without having prepared yourself. But yet we're saying to you, you also need to think about making notes. Right? And making notes does not always mean writing things down because you might not always have a pen and a paper to write down ideas. But what we need to have you practice along the way is to make notes mentally. Where now, I will give you a very silly example. You are asked to speak about what you like about our country. Right? And this now speaks to the block as you see on the right, where you can very easily in your mind say, I'm going to speak about the food that we have in this country. I'm going to speak about the people. I'm going to speak about the fact that we love sports. Just by noting those three things, we call it the rule of three, right? You're noting those in your mind to say, I don't have a piece of paper to write things on, but I'm going to group things that I'm going to speak about into three. And this is one of the easiest, but yet most powerful tools that you can use. I'm going to give another example. So this could be at a friend's party where you are expected to give a speech about the friend, right? A very easy application of the rule of three is saying to yourself, firstly, I'm going to speak about when we met, right? When Shadi and I met. And an example is we met in varsity while we studied together. We ended up in the same group, and then that's how we became friends. And then secondly, second mental note would be to speak about what I appreciate about Shadi, right? So you're making mental notes. And an example would be Shali is a one person. Shali is someone that you can always rely on. Should you need support, she's always available to answer a phone, should one need to call her. But then thirdly, now a third mental note would be to bucket those things into why are we celebrating Shali today and what today means for Shali, right? Today is an important day for her because she's 21 and she's very excited. She's been looking forward to this day and celebrating it. Right? So which is why we're all gathered here, because Shali is someone who values celebrations. Right? So we know it's important for her, it means a lot to her, that's why we're here. So that is application of the rule of three. And that is very easy for you to have those mental notes without a pen and a paper. Just do this. Use your hand and say number one, point number two, point number three. Right? And today we are going to transition to impromptu speeches in a bit, and we'd like to see you apply this. And as we're moving across the provinces, I would like to see you do this, because that means that you are practicing the rule of three, right? Remember to do this, you go one, point number two, point number three, and you support each of them as you're moving. And then you can conclude at the end. All right, you can move to the next one. A second tool that you can put to use to speak off the cuff is what you call the 5 W's, right? This is a bit more, it's a bit more involved, right? There's more things to consider versus 3, but it's also now you can use your hand to say the 5 W's. The who, what is the subject that we're talking about? What are we talking about? Where did this happen? When did it happen? And then why is it important? I'm going to use the very simple example of a birthday party, which I'm sure many of you can relate with still. Right? So if you now say, who are we talking about? We're talking about Shali. Right? Shali is a friend of mine. I've known Shali for 10 years. This is how Shali and I met. And then you move to number 2, where we're now speaking about why are we here today? What is the occasion? Today is Shali's birthday party. Right? Shali appreciates celebrations. It's a very big deal for her that she's hit this milestone. We're here to celebrate it today. We're all very excited. It means a lot. That's why there's all this decor going around. It's a wonderful day. That is the what. Right? And we say where. Right? Now we're speaking about where. The reason why we are at this venue is because this is one of her favorite places. Right? The reason why she chose a restaurant instead of doing it at home is because she wanted us to also enjoy the food here, because she likes the food at the restaurant where we're celebrating today. Right? If we're now talking about when, the timing of the event could be, it's the 21st birthday. Right? We're talking about the 21st birthday. We're celebrating it today on a Saturday. We've been a very busy week, which was why we couldn't do it during the week. But we're celebrating it on a Saturday. It's a wonderful occasion. Afterwards, we can go have fun and have more time on our hands to celebrate. And then why is it important? And once again, because this is someone who values celebrations, right? This is why it's important for us to be here. And she chose us to be here because we are the people that she appreciates. We are the people that she values. That is an application of the 5 W's. I'm going to give another example where we could be talking about, tell us about the most significant event in your life. Right? And you're studying with the who. We're talking about who was there with you. So this could be, you want to talk about the day that you won a competition at school. The who could be, it was at school, I was with my classmates when it happened. And then the what was the occasion? It was a competition where we had to give a speech and we were competing in class with each other. That was the occasion. And then where did it happen? It happened at school. Right? It happened at school. This is the name of my school where it happened. We're in classroom at the time, or we're in the playground. And then when did it happen? This happened on the 13th of July. It was the 13th of July. It was a Saturday when it happened. And then why is it important? It's important because it was a competition that was very close to my heart. And we had learned how to speak publicly. I felt very confident. I gave it everything I had, and I won. And the reason why it means such a lot to me is because it's something that I always wanted to be better at. Right? That's another example of using the 5 W's. And again, to make it easier for yourselves to remember, just raise your hand. Do this. We're now saying who, what, where, why, and when. And if you do not have a lot of time, or you're afraid that you might not remember those, just write them down somewhere to say, okay, I have a question. I don't have a lot of time to write my notes, but I'm just going to find a piece of paper or on my hand and just write who, what, where, when, and why. That would make it easier for you. Right, I'm going to move to the next one, and I'm seeing lots of them are taking notes. So I'm liking the preparation that we're seeing already. Another tool that you can consider is what we call storytelling. And my colleague Charlie gave an example at the very beginning of this, where she told you a story about her journey, being able to speak publicly and confidently, and also being able to sell. Right? Storytelling is also easy to apply with a bit more practice. And how you do this is you're narrating what happened from the very beginning. So it's now about the timing to say, we started off by joining this meeting, and then thereafter, this is what happened. But very important that you add in those building blocks in between, that you are transitioning your conversation. So firstly, I woke up in the morning, right? I was very excited on that day when it was my a very significant moment for me. I woke up in the morning, my mom woke me up and she made me breakfast. And then after we ate breakfast, we left to go visit my uncle. And then my uncle gave me a high five when he got there, because he's always a supporter of mine. And then we went to my birthday, which happened at this particular location. And when we got there, everyone was waiting for me. They said surprise. I was very surprised because I didn't see it coming. And then after we ate and we did this, we are telling a story, right? So there's a sequence that you're following in articulating what you're saying. Again, a very easy tool, and we would like to see you use this as well as you're jumping into impromptu speaking or telling us about important events in your life. Right? We can move to the next one. Where we're talking about what you call a two-sided coin. So again, an easy way to remember this, and I hope you see the pattern now, that there's the usage of hands is something that you can use to advantage. So if you're talking about the rule of three, you do this. Number one, number two, number three. If you're talking about the 5 W's, you use this, right? Who, what, when, where, why, right? If we're now talking about the two-sided coin, you can do this. Or just think about a coin, heads and tails, right? Where you're talking about something that you can very easily split into two distinct parts. I'll give an example. So we're talking about what do you like about South Africa? What do you like about this country? So you could say, on the one hand, right? On the one hand, what I like about South Africa is the food, the people, right? How warm we are, the weather. But on the other hand, what I do not appreciate about South Africa is the crime. What I do not appreciate about South Africa is the unemployment, right? There's a lot of people who are unemployed. There's a lot of people who are poor. You find them at robots. So you're splitting something into two, right? And to make it easier for yourself, think about heads, think about tails, right? Think about two buckets, where you're speaking about one on the one hand, and then thereafter, you're speaking about almost the opposite of it on the other hand. And to make it easier, you can do this for yourself as well. To say, on this hand, on the one hand, these are the positives. On the other hand, these are the other side to it. And when you're done with that, then you conclude, right? And in conclusion, you're only summarizing the key points from either side. Where now you could say, in closing, right? And this is a very important tool to concluding. You say, in closing or in conclusion, I like that South Africa has wonderful food and many, many things about it. But what I wish could be better is high crime rate. What I wish could be better is the fact that there's a lot of people who are unemployed. Right? So two-sided coin. And again, I'm going to take them from the top. Rule of three, the 5 W's, storytelling, two-sided coin. Right? And from these, feel free to choose any and experiment with them. As I said earlier, we need you all to create safe spaces for each other. So if someone is experimenting with something and it doesn't work out very well, you still need to cheer them on. Do not make them feel like a failure. You need to empower one another and make sure that everyone is feeling confident as they're experimenting, as they're trying, as they're learning. Charlie, you can move to the next one. I'm sensitive to time. All right, I'm going to park here for now, and then here across the teams if there's any questions. And again, when someone asks a question, there's no such thing as a silly one. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Right? So across the provinces, are there any questions that are coming up?
Any questions from us? Any questions? You can't get. So that you raise it. No
All right. It doesn't seem there is. Charlie, can move to the next one. Sure. All right, but we can cover the week 2 resources a bit later. That's fine. I think there was a clip there just for impromptu speaking, but I'm worried about time a bit, so we can skip it.
I'll tell you now. Just give me a second.
All right.
A question from Limpopo.
Okay.
All right, Limpopo, hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, the child just coming to the podium.
All right, no worries. And Limpopo is my home province, so I'm smiling as I'm hearing this.
My name is Malaka Tabo from Limpopo in Mulauti Secondary School. I'm going to ask a question about the two-sided conflict. It is about the conclusion. When you conclude, is it possible that you can give advice? Like if you say that there is a lot of unemployment, so how about you could give advice in all those things that we don't like? If you split those things into advantages and disadvantages, if there are advantages, we could give advice on what to do. Is it possible?
Yes, it is. You can. I think the first principle that we try to encourage around conclusion is to not introduce any new things, right? But if it is a very significant thing that you want to introduce, absolutely, you can give recommendations to say, to address the unemployment, this is what I wish can be done, right? So you absolutely can. Very, very good question.
Thank you. Excellent question. And I think it also leads to closing off. So concluding is about closing off. And there's nothing worse than your audience still waiting. Like you've left them hanging on a lurch because you didn't close off. So if you're going to make recommendations, say advantages, disadvantages, and then as Rapala says, in closing, I would like to recommend that we develop leaders of South Africa who can actually take the country forward. And this is how I recommend we do it, right?
Absolutely.
Don't leave your audience hanging. And so recommendations are always a good way to close off. Thank you for that question.
Very good question. Do we have any more questions, perhaps?